there was a time where I was trying to cut what I was learning from the scriptures into bite-sized pieces and feed it to my kids at our dinner table. You, as a mother or father, you are really eating kind of the meat of the word, but sometimes that may be intense for your kids. So let's say you're spending time with the Lord or there's a devotional you're really into, you're reading through a book of the Bible. Why not let your time with the Lord, what is currently really resonating with you, what God's trying to speak to you, why not simply share that with your kids? And that to me just felt so consistent with Deuteronomy 6, which was just bring it up, make it a natural part of the conversation as a family. And so at the dinner table, I think it's really important if you're going to start a new rhythm or a discipline like this that might feel a little unusual at first. You got to first start with discipline. So you got to do something to remind yourself. So I would bring my journal every night to the dinner table. And that reminded me, and I could see exactly what I was studying that morning in the journal. And even when I was doing my journaling in the morning, the way I like to spend time with the Lord is I'll be listening to passages of scripture, writing all these notes. There was a time where I just kind of put a line in and just wrote a couple of notes that I like, okay, this is what I want to share with my kids tonight. And that actually was really, it took just another 2 or 3 minutes with my time in the Bible in the morning. But then I was able to immediately share this with my kids at the dinner table. So
Yeah.
that was one of the things that I remember. I don't know if you want to share anything more about that season.
Yeah. If you are a wife out there and you are really hoping that your husband will lead more spiritually, we definitely had that journey as well. And I remember um, Jeremy feeling pretty uncomfortable leading any kind of like spiritual talk or conversation at the table when the kids were little. I think part of it was like we're also dealing with like behavior stuff at the same time. Part of it was he said, you could put me in front of 100 screaming middle schoolers and I could handle them, but putting me in front of my own children at the table, I think it's just intimidating. So even though Jeremy has a bit of like youth ministry background and theology training, it was still very uncomfortable for him. So I just want to say, like, anytime your husband tries to lead, do whatever you can to support him, to encourage him, to help the kids' attention be turned towards him, and to not worry about the behavior at the table. If it's happening at the table, just the behavior at the time, to not um, have that be what you focus on, but to really just encourage your husband to be able, whatever would make the environment more friendly to him being able to lead and not be distracted, to help him do that. So I really appreciated this. This is when Jeremy really started to step up. And that's how he said it. He said, I take what the Lord has been teaching me and cut it up into bite sized pieces for my kids. And that really was kind of I feel like a turning point, a bit of a turning point for him and our family being able to have those kinds of conversations around the table.